Vera Fox. What does Scientology say about body improvement? Like Cruz's facelift, Botox. Isn't his body a vessel he will eventually dump, just like everyone else? Hubbard seems to be an excellent example of how not to take care of yourself. What about Travolta's improvements? Thanks for the question, Vera. Okay, I think you're gonna like what we're gonna go over here, or at least you'll find it interesting. The care of the body is something that Hubbard talked about and kind of ragged on early on in the history of Scientology, like very early on. In fact, I've got a reference, an issue here that goes all the way back, I think, to the 50s. Let's see. Yeah, this is Journal of Scientology, 1953. The Limitations of Homo Novus. And the editor's foreword says, L. Ron Hubbard pulled no punches when he wrote these words, first published early in 1952. Now, I'm not going to go into, I'm going to try to avoid the techno-speak of Scientologies here as much as I can. Most of this is in pretty regular English. He makes the point here, and this is, again, early on in the history of Scientology, and this is the sort of foundational thinking that it goes through as a sort of a thread through a lot of Scientology into the future, through the 50s and 60s and on all the way up to today. And Scientologists will alternately care very much about their body and care very much about taking care of it, to the point that it is a precept in Hubbard's Way to Happiness booklet from 1980. Taking care of your body, taking care of your teeth, taking care of your health, eating right, sleeping right. These are advised as moral precepts. So, and they're perfectly good moral precepts. People should take care of their bodies. But Hubbard had some other things to say about caring for the body earlier on. And so these two things kind of juxtapose. And so I thought, rather than, since I could find it and pulled it up pretty fast, I would read to you from the scriptures. Okay, so here we go. Hubbard is talking about care of the body, and he says an entire book can be written about, let's see here. Basically the pre-clear in his body and its care and his injunctions and insistences to others that they care for their bodies. You can produce soaring changes in tone if you will address this. And here's the quote. An entire book can be written concerning this therapy. An entire book has been written about it, the first book in Dianetics. This therapy could be styled the efforts of a theta being to reconcile the frailty of a messed body with the ethics of a theta being. They do not reconcile these two. Okay, he's juxtaposing the spirit, the theta, the thetan, and the body, the messed body, the actual living human body, right? He's saying that these two things don't really reconcile very well together. Schopenhauer, Zeno, the philosopher, and names without number in philosophy have been trying to make this reconciliation for eons. One says, defeat it all and die, for only by dying can you defeat it. Another says, you can't win, therefore the only victory is in refusing to try to win. Christianity and a million other anities have struggled with this problem, and the result is a potpourri of answers, none of which can reconcile the problem. You have a soul. It goes off somewhere. You don't know about it. You are a soul. You don't know about it. Today we live in a vast culture called worship the body. Medical doctors, school teachers, parents, traffic officers, the whole society unites into this war cry, care for the body. This stems from the concept that the body is all that one has, that he will have just one body, that his total devotion is the care of that body. A body is a vegetable. It's not even a sentient vegetable, for it lacks perception in the whole theta range. Like any vegetable, it grows from seed and has habit patterns which help it survive. And like any vegetable, one way or another, it gets used by others. Early theta beings saw messed bodies, regular, bodies like this one, saw messed bodies acting and being as though they were self-motivated. This was a curiosity. The early theta being did not know that these messed bodies depended wholly for their wits upon the guidance of a decayed theta being. The bodies looked like entities of considerable force and skill. The theta beingness of them was hidden and unapparent. Thus, even theta beings have been fooled by messed bodies. A messed body whether it belongs to the race of man or the race of ants, is only an animated vegetable. Given a theta being to guide it, it becomes part of a composite such as Homo sapiens. Here we have a theta being decayed into unknowingness, devoted to the care of a messed body. The quote-unquote I of this body, the actual volition of it, all its wits and skills are theta things, derived from the guidance of a theta being. By itself, the body would live, walk around, react, sleep, kill, and direct an existence no better than that of a field mouse or a zombie. Put a theta being over it, and it becomes possessed of ethics and morals and direction and goals and the ability to reason. It becomes this strange thing called Homo sapiens, a being above animals and yet an animal. Okay, so he goes on in that same pace about, how bodies are just bodies. They're a dime a dozen. You've had billions of them. You'll have billions more. Why are you so wrapped up in care of the body? So that is I wanted to give that to you guys as a little bit of a this is a core belief or a piece of the dogma of Scientology that most Scientologists take very seriously from my experience in the practice of it. So we come to your question, Vera, about Botox, about plastic surgery, about, caring for and improving the body. Well, there's, on top of this business that Hubbard was writing back in the day about how caring for the body is kind of like, why are we doing that? You also have the fact that you have to have a body in order to get auditing, because you have to have hands to connect to an e-meter, and you have to have an auditor be able to see you, to ask you questions so that you can give him answers and get all the trauma and engrams and BTs and all the other crappy stuff away from you and free yourself. That requires a body. You can't go clear or OT if you don't have one, because there's no way to directly audit a theta being. So, in this sense, and for this reason, Scientologists have adopted the idea that bodies are important and should be cared for. And this is how they reconcile this earlier material about bodies, screw bodies, bodies aren't important, to later way to happiness precepts that say, hey, take care of your body. Present a good image. Have good PR. Be a shining example of Scientology in the world at large, according to another issue Hubbard wrote called What We Expect of a Scientologist, where you're supposed to go out and be a good shining example of the practice. So if you sort of think about or reconcile these things, what you get is a surface level care of the body and putting a good appearance on for PR purposes, and using the body to navigate life and communicate with other people and produce things. And most importantly for Scientologists, get auditing so that they can go all the way up the bridge to OT, which again requires a body, so that they can be eventually free of a body. That's the idea. And so along the way, take care of the body well enough to keep its purpose, keep it fit for purpose. But other than that, who cares? Now, when you get to somebody like a celebrity, though, there is a public imaging problem. And celebrities, kind of have this thing about looking young for as long as they can. And we have seen some of the horrific examples of how badly this can go. And let's face it, plastic surgery is a little bit of, not exact science. And people have had some pretty horrifying and tragic even results or from mishaps of plastic surgery or unintended consequences of it. So I'm certainly not somebody who endorses it. I think, natural bodies are natural, and I think that's okay. I think we age, and I think our considerations about aesthetics and beauty and that kind of thing could use some tweaking. And we see that as society rolls forward and we start canceling some of the ageism that has existed. It's certainly in the media, maybe not out in the real world, but in the media, man, ageism is a thing. So that's getting a lot of pushback, but we still see this image problem. And there isn't anything in Scientology that says you can't do that or that you even shouldn't do that. If you're a Tom Cruise or a John Travolta, it's understood you have a public image to uphold. And you're going to do what you're going to do to, those are your choices. You get to make those choices. Nobody's really too concerned in Scientology about what choices you make with your body, so long as it doesn't interfere with you getting money out of you and you doing the practices of Scientology. So that's kind of as complete an answer as I think I could give, including the Hubbard on it. And I hope that helps clarify what's up.